And so, as an example, the name Abdullah means servant or slave, more accurately, slave of God. In Hebrew, Allah is one of the names of Hebrew, and Ebed is slaves. And so you have Ebed, depending whether you're Syrian or not, you'll pronounce that word slightly different, but you have the same language. So you have a name that exists in Arabic, which is very similar to Hebrew. So you have to understand, before Muhammad came along and introduced Islam to the world, I believe he was already called Muhammad. Is that fair? Are you
It was called before what? Sorry.
So I'm asking a question. Did Muhammad become Muhammad when he became Islam?
No.
Muslim,
he was no Muhammad when he was a pagan. He was called Muhammad.
That's my understanding. So the name predates Islam to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know what the root of that in Hebrew we call it a shoresh, or each word has a root, and from that root you have consonants. So can I, my friend,
stop being rude,
please.
Stop being rude.
From those consonants, many other words will be formed. So shalom, which means peace, shalem means complete, and so you'll have words which interrelate. And so the shoresh, the root of Muhammad in Arabic and Hebrew, I assume it's the same, will have multiple meanings. And in Hebrew, and I'll show you here in the text, the word here is maḥmadim. So that's where they're getting. So it sounds very similar.
So they're going based on the sound.
They're going based on the sound and the root of the word. If it was Muhammad, it would be with the. It would be the real
word you showed us.
Exactly. It would. So to see, I'm going to show you the two words again. They're slightly different words, but they share the same the shoresh. And Muhammad's name will have come from the root of this word. Now in Hebrew it means lovely or desirable. In Arabic, before Muhammad was called Muhammad, it will have had a meaning. That word, because most names have meaning.
Absolutely, like my own name, my own real name, which I nearly just said.
The name Muhammad traces back to an ancient Semitic root, pronounced hamad, a word rich with meaning, praise, desire, beauty, and value. In Arabic, the morphological pattern mufa'al produces Muhammad, which literally means the one who is greatly praised, or the oft-praised one. This is more than just a personal name. It carries the weight of a title, since classical Arabic often gave names that expressed qualities or honored statuses. If we turn to Hebrew, the same root appears in the verb hamad, meaning to desire, to covet, or to hold dear. From this comes the noun maḥmad, found in several places in the Hebrew Bible, including Lamentations and the Song of Songs. In Song of Songs 5:16, we find the phrase kulo maḥmadim, meaning he is altogether desirable. The plural form maḥmadim here is an intensive expression, not a personal name. Still, because of its sound, later Muslim polemics often drew a link to Muhammad, though in Hebrew grammar it was never intended as a proper noun. Historically, the name Muhammad was rare in pre-Islamic Arabia. Records show only a handful of individuals bore the name before the rise of Islam, often from tribes or regions with close ties to Jewish and Christian communities. The name seems to have emerged during a wider trend in the 6th and 7th centuries, when many Arabs chose names with strong religious meaning, names like Abdullah or Ahmad, which also come from the root Hamad. In this context, Muhammad carried from the beginning a religious and symbolic weight, presenting the bearer as the praised one, or the one worthy of praise. What is striking is that the Quran itself does not place heavy emphasis on this name. It appears only 4 times, while broader titles like Rasul, Messenger, and Nabi, Prophet, are used far more frequently. In one verse, the name Ahmad is also mentioned as a promised figure, showing a variety of ways the Prophet's identity was expressed. For this reason, modern scholars suggest that Muhammad may have originally functioned more as an honorific title within the Arab Semitic tradition before it became the central personal identity sanctified by Islam. In the end, the name Muhammad stands at a crossroads, rooted in a shared Semitic heritage, echoing Hebrew expressions of beauty and desire, while also reflecting the historical moment when Arabia was absorbing Jewish and Christian influences. It is not just a personal name, but a symbol layered with meaning, one that Islam would elevate into the defining identity of its prophet.
I mean, you've already got this, but as you can see, it's spelt completely different here. There's a vav here, so
take the finger away so we can.
Muhammad rather than Maḥmadim.
Right.
And so if the Torah was coming to prophesy, or the Tanakh was coming to prophesy about Muhammad,
Yeah.
you would assume it would be very direct and it would actually name the name,
Yeah.
rather than alluding to the verse, which read in context makes no sense. And actually, if it's a verse which is praising God,
Yeah.
which many people will read it that way, by ascribing Muhammad to that name, you're actually partnering Muhammad with God and saying they're interchangeable, which for a Muslim is very problematic because you're not allowed to make partners with Allah.
Absolutely, and the as I understand it, because the false friends exist in other kind of languages. I'm trying to think in terms of a false friend, because I know Spanish and English, and I am literally now just trying to find a false friend. Two words that sound the same but are used completely differently in the two different languages. And the only one that jumps to mind, so it's quite a poor example, I will accept, but it illustrates the point I think the brother is trying to make, is the word amiga. In Spanish, amiga means my girlfriend or a girl that is a friend. Yeah? Whereas amiga in English is a proper noun to an actual computer called the Amiga. These words sound identical, but in English it's a proper noun, and in Spanish it's not a proper noun, it is a adjective. It is an adjective. So is that what you're describing here? That these words sound the same, but really are different?
Yeah, absolutely. So if similarly, if you'll find names in Hebrew which will relate to other gods in pagan society. It doesn't mean that those pagan gods are found in the Torah. It's the commonality and the similarity of language. And Hebrew and Arabic are very, very similar.
Is there a Hebrew word that means mouse or to destroy or something that's very similar to akbar in Arabic?
So that's
what's the Hebrew word?
So mouse, I believe, is akbar.
Akbar.
I just want to check that though, because my
please
Hebrew
check it. If it's all right, we'll fact check him while he's studying, because I never know when I'll get to speak to this guy again. So, while he's doing that, go on.
So here's the word,
and it says akbar.
Yeah. So
zoom in. No, he needs to zoom in. He needs to zoom in. Yeah, just hold it. We'll zoom in.
This one here.
Yeah. Akbar. And it's pronounced akbar.
Yep.
Right.
Akbar.
So every time, if we use the phonetic false friend logic of the Dawah team, every time, and therefore every time we hear something that sounds like Muhammad, it must be Muhammad. Then every time we hear the word akbar, we must assume it means mouse. Now, obviously, this is nonsense. This is not the point the brother's trying to make, because I'm sure as a linguist he appreciates the differences in languages. I'm someone who knows multiple languages, and I wouldn't make that point either, because I understand what a false friend is. Just because two words sound the same doesn't mean they are the same. So in the same way that Muslims aren't crying out, Allah is a mouse, they aren't crying that, they're shouting that Allah is great. Yeah? In the same way, just because something sounds like Muhammad doesn't mean that it's Muhammad.
I'd actually
If
get
anything
one
you want to
further.
add to
Yeah, the
that,
thing
or-
I would, if you believe that the Torah is tarif, is corrupted as a Muslim,
Yeah.
it makes absolutely no sense to go to the Torah and to prove your religion from something that you already believe is corrupted.
Absolutely.
So if you're a Muslim, mate, just come on.
Keep going, bro. Don't invite him in. I'm going to go and talk to this heckler soon. He'll have his day in court. You continue.
So my point is, if you're a Muslim and you believe the Torah hasn't been corrupted, then Mazel Tov. Verify and validate your own religion all you like from my religion. I'm happy with that. If you believe my religion hasn't been corrupted and you want to say, look, my book talks about Abraham and your book talks about Abraham, isn't that great? Fantastic. If you think my book has been contaminated and corrupted, why on earth would you use it to try and validate and verify your own religion?
Yeah.
And this is one of the things I really don't get. And what it becomes selective. Then you start saying, well, the bits that validate my religion, they're kosher, they're halal.
Yeah.
But the bits that don't validate my religion, like which of the sons was sacrificed, well, then that's corrupted.
Yeah.
It's like, who are you
it's
to decide?
subjective reasoning, isn't it?
And
It's like it's self-validating reasoning that isn't objective.
In biblical tradition, prophecies about great figures are usually explicit. For example, the prophecy of the Messiah in Micah 5:2 clearly names Bethlehem as the place of birth, and the prophecy of the servant of the Lord in Isaiah 53 describes his suffering in detail. So if the Torah or the Tanakh truly intended to foretell the coming of Muhammad, we would expect the text to mention his name or unmistakable characteristics directly. Yet Muslims often cite Song of Songs 5:16, where the Hebrew text reads, Hiko mamtakim we kullo mahmadim, zedoda wezere. His mouth is sweetness itself, he is altogether desirable. This is my beloved, this is my friend. The key word here is maḥmadim. Etymologically, it comes from the Hebrew root hamad, which means to desire, to delight in, to value, or to find beautiful. The base form maḥmad means a desirable or precious thing. The plural ending im turns it into maḥmadim, which simply means things that are delightful and desirable. In the poetic context of the Song of Songs, this is not a personal name but a description of the beloved's qualities, portraying him as lovely and desirable. The misunderstanding comes from how similar the Hebrew word maḥmad sounds to the Arabic Muhammad. Linguistically, they share the same ancient Semitic root, hamad, but the words function in very different ways. In Hebrew, maḥmad is a common noun. In Arabic, Muhammad is an intensive form, is a maf'ul, meaning the one who is greatly praised. Thus, a shared root does not automatically imply a shared historical reference. Textually, if a verse meant to praise God or poetically describe a lover is forced into being a prophecy of Muhammad, the meaning is distorted. It even creates a theological problem. Verses that exalt God's beauty or majesty, when reinterpreted as referring to Muhammad, effectively place his name alongside God's attributes, something entirely foreign to the strict monotheism of the Tanakh. So both in the text itself, with its immediate context, and in the etymology that comes from the root hamad, the claim that Muhammad is prophesied in the Song of Songs, or anywhere else in the Hebrew Bible, simply cannot be sustained. Genuine biblical prophecy is direct and unambiguous, whereas this claim rests only on a superficial similarity in sound that ignores the true meaning of the text.